Why do you want to experience a mindset shift? It's because you understand that your mind is standing in the way of your dream life. And as much as you think that that sucks to realize, it's awesome because you have the ability to change your mindset. Most people are not even aware that it's their own mind that stands in the way, but you're intelligent enough to understand that thinking that you're not good enough, you're a failure, you don't deserve good things, that those narratives are not helpful for you to achieve your goals. And I'm so glad you're here because you want to change your mindset. But the problem you might be experiencing is you don't really know how to change your mind. But thankfully, I have the solution for you, and this happens in a 3-step process. I have already covered part 1, which was my previous video. It was all about education, because the first step to change your mindset, it's educating yourself on what those mindset shifts are. So in that first video, if you want to watch it, it's my previous video, I give you the foundation of all the conceptual logics that you need to understand for you to change. But this is part 2, and it's all about application. What are the actionable steps that you can do in real life that actually reinforces those changes? And then my next video will be part 3, all about dedication. Because for you to actually embody the mindset shifts, you need to be committed to those shifts and you need to be dedicated. And I'm going to give you the tools to make sure that you stay disciplined with those mindsets. All 3 parts work together. And I want you to trust me on this. I know that these are long videos, but we're talking about your goals here. We are talking about your potential. And I don't want to give you a wishy-washy ChatGPT video. I want to give you actually practical, actionable, and life-changing advice. And whatever I tell you are things that I have experienced myself. I am known in my career that my mindset is my most powerful tool. That is what has brought me to the top 1%. And if you don't know me, I'm Bianca St. George and I'm a professional soccer player. And to be a professional soccer player, it requires me to be in the top 1% of all athletes that play the sport. I think it might even be less than 1%. And I got there with my mindset. I didn't have the money, I didn't have the tools, I didn't have the people to help me get to where I am. It was all with my mind. I had an unbelievable work ethic. I was able to embrace failures. I was able to grow. And that was all the result of having that positive belief about myself. And right now I come on here on YouTube to teach you valuable advice because it allows me to be at my full potential. It allows me to feel like I'm making an impact. And why would I come on here and not give you value? That would be pointless to my goals. So you can rest assured that whatever I give you works. It's stuff that actually can change your life. You just have to put in the work. So grab a pen and paper, take some notes, and let me lay out these 9 actionable steps that will reprogram your mind. Because when your mind is on your side, you finally unlock the version of yourself that you want to see, which is relentless and will get to your goals no matter what. Okay, let's get into it. The first mindset that you want to develop is a growth mindset, and you will know all about this if you watched part 1 of my video. But I'm not here to educate you on what is a growth mindset. I'm here to tell you how to have one. And the first actionable thing that you need to do is to have a mantra. A mantra is basically a quote or an affirmation or a theme that you repeat to yourself frequently so it gives you a blueprint on how to act, think, and feel. And the reason why you want that is because it's so easy to have negative self-talk when you face a setback. But when you have a mantra, it automatically shifts your perspective and allows you to tap into a new way of thinking immediately. And I have an example of what I did in my own life. A couple years ago, I decided to go with themes as my mantra. And my theme, I would call them eras. For example, in 2023, I wanted to solve a big issue for myself. I wanted to grow into a more feminine version of myself. I wanted to develop my feminine energy because I was so driven by my masculine energy and it was causing a bunch of anxiety issues, restlessness, and also it was ruining my relationships. So to tap into my feminine energy, I created my feminine energy era. And because I was in my feminine energy era, it was allowing me to act a little bit differently. Instead of being in such a narrow mindset of I'm so masculine, I'm so tough, I have such a hard time connecting to my feminine side, I was like, wait, I'm in my feminine energy era. So I was able to romanticize my life. I was able to slow down. I was able to find joy and laughter in things. Then I shifted to a different era. After a couple months, when I felt like I embodied it, I'd grown into it, I decided to enter my unbothered era. And that era was useful when I felt like there was a lot of shit happening in my life that was out of my control, and I did not want to let that affect me. So I decided to have my unbothered era. And that allowed me to grow, because when I didn't let outward things affect me, I was able to overcome anything and always think about the things that I could control. And then recently, this year, I was in my open-minded era. And I love that one because I entered my dating life and I wanted to be more open-minded to who I could date and to not judge people. And also I wanted to learn about myself and others. And I wouldn't have been able to see the opportunities and date the people that I would date if I wasn't open-minded. So having that era really allowed me to grow into a higher version of myself. So I want you to start thinking about your life. Do you need a quote, a theme, an affirmation that will embody this new way of thinking that you're trying to have? That will be your mantra. And if you want to have a list of them to spark some ideas, you can sign up in the first link in my description, where you can access a PDF with all different types of inspiration. But if you want to work with me right now and try to figure it out, this is how I would go about it. The first thing that you want to do is to identify a negative thought that you often find yourself thinking that you would like to change. And when you identify that thought, you want to also find the opposite of that thought. So let me give you an example. Let's say you think it's too late to start something new. That is something that is negative and holding you back. The opposite of that would be it's always a good time to pursue my goals. So you could leave it as is. You could leave that as your affirmation. It's always a good time to pursue my goals. But you can also be more creative and have something that sparks a little bit more excitement in you. It could be a quote. So you can go on ChatGPT and write, it's always a good time to pursue my goals. Find a quote that would match that and they can give you ideas. It could come out as, you don't have to be great to start. You have to start to be great. That's a good quote to go by. And if you don't want to have a quote, you can have an overarching era, like what I like to do. And you can call it like the just start era, or the initiative era, or the courageous era. So ultimately, you just want to pick a mood, a feeling, or a mindset that you want to embody and find a quote, affirmation, or a theme that reflects that. And that will be something that you will have to tell yourself over and over again, and you will see that when you think about it often, you start acting, thinking, and feeling differently, and that will change your reality and it would allow you to grow. Don't think you're going to make a wrong decision. You just got to pick one. It's going to be a little bit of logic with a little bit of intuition, but just pick something and you'll see along the way, you will shift when time will allow it, when you learn new things, when you experience new things. So just trust that it will be flexible, but pick one to start. Now, the second way to develop a growth mindset is one of my favorites, and you will understand why if you're a returning subscriber. It is to challenge yourself. And you can either create your own challenge or participate in challenges. So whether you want it or not, life will always be full of challenges. And when you don't choose your challenges, like you let life hit you, it can be very painful. And you have two options at that point. You can either learn from that pain or you can just fall a victim to it. But what if you were the creator of your own challenges? That would allow you to have a proactive role in your growth. So if you create your own challenge, you can already create in advance the type of growth that you want to see. And because right now you try to have a growth mindset, how about you create a challenge that will allow you to grow? For example, let's say you wish you had a better sleep schedule. You could either do nothing about it, just wish that you have it, and keep having your bad sleeping schedule. And then eventually you will become unhealthy, you will have low self-esteem, low energy, low motivation, low mood, and life will feel challenging that way. You could either change until you hit rock bottom or not change at all, but just remain average because you will never feel good enough to pursue your goals because your sleep is so messed up. So see, life will always be challenging. But on the other hand, you could choose to challenge yourself to like a sleep challenge. You could set a challenge where you go for 30 days, you track your sleep, you have a good sleep hygiene, such as you go to bed an hour earlier, you don't consume food before bed, you don't consume social media before bed, you read before bed, you take your supplements, you drink your tea. You could create your challenge where you try to follow that for a certain amount of time, and then just try to follow that as good as possible, because you even trying and be proactive, even if you fail, will allow you to grow way more than if you just let life happen by itself. You really won't be perfect in any challenge. But the goal of the challenge is not to be perfect, it's to grow. Remember that. So when you fail, it's not a bad thing. It's more like, yes, you have feedback. You can analyze why you failed. Oh, I failed because I didn't have good snacks in my apartment. So obviously I ate junk food before bed and it messed up my sleep. So now maybe your solution is to not have junk food in your cupboard. When you are active in this role of your challenge, you can see your shortcomings and you can adjust and you can learn from it. And that's how you grow. And it's fun because you feel like you're doing an experiment on yourself and you know that you're not going to do this forever. You're just trying to figure out what works. And over time, you'll understand that it's really not about figuring it out perfectly in the first place. It's all about finding ways, learning, growing, adapting, being flexible, learning about yourself. It's a fun game that you get to play with your own life because you're being the creator of what you want. And also, if you don't want to go through the pain of creating your own challenges, that's why I create the self-improvement challenges online. I create habits challenges, goals challenges, daily discipline challenges. That's what I did last year. And this year, I promise you, there will be one almost every month. How exciting is that? You don't even have to do the work to create it. You can just jump in mine. And what's even better is you're surrounded by a like-minded community, so then it keeps you accountable, which is something that is really hard to do on your own. So if you're interested in like accessing the PDFs, accessing the courses, being with the community, it's the first link in my description, the same one as the list for the mantras. And I want you to stay tuned because my next challenge is coming out for February 2025. So the more you realize that you can play an active role in your growth, the more confident you will become. And when you are confident, you take more bold moves and you grow even faster. Now, the third way to develop a growth mindset that is actionable and that is not easy but can change your life, it's to remove toxic friends from your life. And I know this one is really hard to accept, but this is the reality that you have to face. The friends that you have might not really be your friends, because if they don't support you towards your goals, if they don't inspire you, if they feel threatened by your success or your ideas and aspirations, they are not your friends. They literally could be the reason why you are stagnant in life. But I'm not saying that to put the blame on them. The blame is on you because you're choosing to stay friends with them. And if you want to grow as a person, you have to let them go. So how do you know if your friends are toxic? Well, think about it. Do they make you feel guilty when you're working on your goals? Do they feel threatened every time that you see progress in your life? Do they embarrass you for doing things that are healthier or outside of their comfort zone? Let's say that you decide to not drink. Do they feel like they need to embarrass you or make comments about you trying to be healthier? Basically, something that you need to ask yourself is, if you were to meet them right now, let's say in a coffee shop, would you be friends with them? Because there's a good chance that the friends that you're friends with, you're just friends because they remind you of your old self. They remind you of a time where you were unaware, you were mindless, when things were easy, but they were just easy because you were comfortable and average. You weren't aware of your potential. So yeah, it felt easier because you were literally mindless, but now you know that you have untapped potential and you can't unknow that. And you have only one responsibility right now. It's to actually fulfill that potential, actually reach that potential. So you have to let go of that old self, that old part of you that is average, for you to step into that extraordinary version of yourself. And you can only step in that version if you let go of those people that are holding you back. If you want to surround yourself by people like me, just know that I don't surround myself by average people. So if you surround yourself by average people, I would not want to surround myself with you because that is contagious and I don't want that in my life. So if you want higher people in your life, you need to view yourself as that type of person, and you cannot lower your standard just because you fear being alone. And I promise you, everyone that is successful has had a lonely chapter in their life. That is normal because when you let go of your new friends, you haven't built yourself to a level and experience to meet your new friends. You will have a lonely chapter, but when you're in it, you need to embrace it and realize it's a good sign because you're so close to a breakthrough. You're doing the right thing. And if you really don't want to be lonely, that is why I created also the private community, because I wanted like-minded individuals that were on self-improvement to find each other, because I know it can be a lonely journey. And it doesn't have to be. It is naturally, but it doesn't have to be if you create the environment for it. And because I hated that I was lonely, I was sick of being lonely, I decided to do something about it and I found my people. And if you want to hop along, you are so welcome. And you'll see it's so much easier to grow when you surround yourself by like-minded individuals. It will be impossible for you to thrive in an environment with toxic friends because they're like junk food. If you try to be healthy, but you're surrounded by junk food all the time, it is going to be so hard to always have the willpower to say no, to indulge in those comfort. And then eventually you'll see it will rob you from your dreams of being healthy. It's the same thing with toxic people. They are like junk food. So get rid of that. Now let's go into another mindset shift from victim mentality to complete ownership. How do you let go of the victim mentality and become empowered again? Here's the first thing that you gotta do. You need to become a problem solver. This is the new identity that I want you to embody. Instead of wasting that energy on blaming other people and feeling bad for yourself, use that energy all into finding solutions. The better you are at solving problems, the more success you attract. That's how I view success. Success to me means the ability to deal with problems with ease. Because life will always have problems thrown at me. It's my ability to deal with them that will determine my success. So I want to become an extraordinary problem solver. That is like a skill I want to embody. And I think you should do the same thing. And when you become a problem solver, you start focusing on things that matters, which is things that you can't control. You let go of things you can't control because that lives in the past. Those are things that you can't impose on other people, but you always have the power to choose how you react to situations. In my life, I've had tons of people that did me dirty. And actually recently I wrote a blacklist because I was like, when sometimes I have low motivation, I look at this list and I'm like, F those people basically. But the thing is, if I spend too much time thinking about how they did me wrong, if I start thinking about why they did this to me, they are so dirty for doing that, I start putting all my energy on them instead of producing things that will actually give me a return of investment. So I look at that list and I laugh and I'm like, let me show you how you'll regret doing me dirty. You will wish you would have never told that to me. You will wish you never did that to me. And then I get to work because I control on the things that I can control. So I get that you've had misfortunes in your life, but just view that rejection as a new direction. You haven't had things go as planned because you have something greater waiting for you. You have to trust that. But if you want that to actually manifest itself, you also have to own the role that you are responsible for your life. You're responsible to decide how you react to things. So whatever is happening in your life right now, I want you to list like your problems and find a common theme. What is that one big thing that would take care of all these little things? Because there's a good chance that there's always one thing that has a domino effect on other things. And I'm going to give you a little secret. The big thing that usually you need to take care of is your physical health. When you're physically unhealthy, everything else goes to shit. Your motivation, your self-esteem, your focus. If you want to fix all the little problems that come from that, you need to be fit. So then you start thinking about the solutions. What does it take you for you to be fit? And usually it's not that complicated. It's to fix your diet and fix your workout routine. AKA go to the gym and eat good food. And then when you start seeing progress, it will feel good, and then you'll learn new things and you'll adjust and you'll make it better. But you'll see that a lot of things in your life will get better just because you have solved the biggest problem in your life. So just understand that there's always a solution to your problems. You need to act upon them, and you will reinforce that mentality that you can achieve whatever you put your mind to, because you will see that you are actually in so much more control of your life than you thought you were. The second thing to go from a victim mentality to complete ownership is to BYOB. Be your own boss. And this is very simple. There's 3 things that you need to do to be your own boss. Don't ask for permission, stop seeking validation, and learn to say no. You need to do those 3 things. It's that simple. If you want to stop feeling like a victim, you need to affirm your authority. And those 3 things you're entitled to do. If you want something, you don't need permission to go get it. Your dreams were given to you for a reason. Your dream is unique to you because they are meant for you. You don't need anyone to approve them, which goes into my second point. Don't seek validation from other people, because everyone has their own agenda. Everyone has their own dreams, and what they want might not align with what you want. So if you waste your energy trying to get everyone's approval, you're taking away all the ability for you to actually grab what's yours. When you focus on being a people pleasing, you're focusing on making other people's dreams happen while neglecting your own. And then finally, you need to learn to say no. Just practice saying no to things. No to drinking, no to partying, no to going out. Because when you do that, you show yourself self-respect. You show yourself that you care about your dreams and that you're willing to do the work. If you truly want to stop being a victim, you need to prove to yourself that you are the captain of your own ship. So you better act like you are the boss of your own life. Now, the third way to go from victim to ownership is all about gratitude. And there's 2 ways to go about it, either a gratitude list or voicing your gratitude. And I don't want you to underestimate the power of gratitude, because you hear that all the time, but the reason you hear it often doesn't mean it's less powerful. It's kind of like the saying, believe in yourself. When you read that quote on Facebook from a mom, you think, oh, okay, whatever, like that's so corny. But believing yourself is so important, because the moment you don't believe in yourself, you will never achieve success, because you don't believe that you can. And then you'll make that a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it's the same thing for gratitude. You need to be grateful, because this shifts your mindset from lack to abundance. And when you see life as abundance, you never feel stuck and powerless in a situation. You can always shift your mind to see the positives and what's worth appreciating. And when you start seeing the world in such a positive and optimistic way, you start attracting things to reinforce that. You are what you think about. You become what you put your attention to. So if you think about the positives in your life, you will attract positive results. So if you like journaling, I would just suggest you write something that you're grateful for, but truly mean it. Truly mean your gratitude. But the other way that I find very powerful that you don't really hear people say, it's to voice your gratitude. And the way to do that is to shift the word like, I'm happy, to I'm grateful. So for example, when I was dating last year, there was a guy that came over to mine, and I was like, I'm so grateful that you did the drive to come see me. And I was genuinely meaning that. And the dude was like, wow, thank you for saying that. And we both kind of laughed because he lives 3 minutes away. So it's not like he did a huge commute. But I was like, you still took the time to go in your car and come and see me. You didn't have to do that. So I'm grateful you did that because I know that I didn't want to leave my place. So showing gratitude made him feel very good and appreciated and willing to give back to me, willing to do the commute, willing to travel more and do more for me just because he knows that I appreciate it. So please don't undervalue gratitude. It's probably something that has improved my well-being the most when I started to think in a more grateful way, in a more appreciative way. And you'll see, you just genuinely feel better on a daily basis and you start acting differently, and people vibe with that. People will want to be around you, will want to do things for you because you are just positive vibes. Now, the last mindset shift is all about going from perfectionism to progress. So if you want to stop letting perfectionism rule your life and focus on progress and growth, here are 3 things that you must do. And let me tell you, this is serious because if you don't fix perfectionism, you will never be successful. Because all successful people have failed so many times, have sucked so many times, were beginners at anything they started, so they weren't perfect. Their ego hurt, their pride hurt. They made mistakes over and over again, but the reason why they made it to the top is because they didn't give up and they always learned from their mistakes. You have to take this seriously. You have to overcome perfectionism because this will be the reason why you will always stay stuck. Because the number one thing you have to do to combat perfectionism is to eliminate procrastination. And if you want to eliminate procrastination, it's to understand that procrastination is perfectionism in disguise. So maybe you don't view yourself as a perfectionist, but if you procrastinate, you are a perfectionist because you are not willing to do the thing because you know that you won't do it perfectly. You know that you won't achieve the whole thing, that you won't do it with ease, that you won't be the master at it. But if you want to eliminate procrastination, there are 2 things that you need to do. The number one thing, you have to pause and visualize how you will feel after you're done doing the thing that you're avoiding. Because when you take the time to think about how good you'll feel, that already gives you motivation to do it because you know what not doing it will make you feel. Restless, anxious, disappointed in yourself. So if you want to feel those good feelings, you have to not procrastinate. And then the second thing you need to do is to identify what is the smallest step that you need to take the first step forward. Because procrastination oftentimes freezes us to take action because we think about the whole project. We think about all the things that needs to happen to get the result or to do the thing. But that can feel so overwhelming. So if you start thinking about the big picture, it will always be too hard to start. But if you think about the first smallest step, you can always manage that. I experience that all the time before I go to the gym. It's really hard for me to go to the gym every time I go. Even though I'm a professional athlete, you would think it's easy. But no, I always have to overcome the mental barrier of I don't want to do this. I'm comfortable right now. I don't want to go and sweat and do the big workout, the run. Oh my God, I haven't worked out today. So now it's kind of making me dread it. But what do I do to combat it? 1, I remind myself of how good I'm going to feel afterwards or how bad I would feel if I don't do it. And 2, I think about what is the smallest thing that I can do right now? Well, the thing that I can do right now is I can change into my gym clothes. The second thing is after I do that, fill up my water bottle, then grab my keys and my bag. Then head to the gym. And when I'm at the gym, it's to start my stretches, start my pre-activation, start my warm-up. And then I go one step at a time. And then eventually I will be done with my workout without ever feeling like I'm overwhelming me with all the things that I have to do because I've always put my attention on the smallest thing that I can do to propel me forward. So this is how you eliminate procrastination and you start seeing progress. Just remember, the magic is hidden in the work that you're avoiding. So whatever you're avoiding, it's exactly what you got to do, which goes into the second point. The second way that you can overcome perfectionism is to do exactly what scares you. For example, you might be a perfectionist because you want to start a YouTube channel and you have a hard time doing it because you know that you're not good at it. You know that you're not good at speaking. You don't really know what you're going to say. You know it's not going to be great. It's going to suck and it's not going to be perfect. To overcome that, what you got to do is exactly that. The reason why I'm good, maybe you think I'm good at speaking at the camera, which to me, I'm still not good yet. I don't know if I'm too harsh on myself, but it's still very hard for me to speak in front of a camera. But you should have seen me when I first started. That was a million times harder. But the reason why I'm so good right now is because I have done the first video where I sucked terribly. And you know what? It's really good when you suck at first because no one's watching. So you're allowed to suck. And you will see the success will come as you get better. I think the reason why my channel has grown is because I have gotten better. But the reason why it's not popping is because I still struggle with a lot of things. I struggle with my pauses. I struggle with making my content concise. I struggle with maybe hooking my audience. There's a lot of things that I still struggle at, but it's okay because the people that believe in me are sticking around. So thank you if you're here. And I know who you are because I see you coming back video after video. And I thank you so much for that. So it's good because whatever success I get will match who I am. So this tells me that if I get better, which I will because I keep showing up, I will attract success. And that gives you confidence. And just think about it. Everyone is scared to start something new. And most people will never start. So if you just start, you're already going to beat 99% of people because the majority of people won't ever do it. So just start. And if you're like me and you love Andrew Huberman, he talks about neuroplasticity, which is your ability to change your mind. And the way that you actually adapt and change neurons in your brain, it's not by being perfect or doing something really well. It literally comes from making errors. You have to make mistakes. So this is exciting. That means that me sucking at doing things on YouTube and not being perfect means that I am changing my brain. It's not as easy as it sounds because to actually change it, you have to be aware and see your mistakes and learn from it. But still, I cannot give myself the opportunity to change if I don't take the steps to make the mistakes in the first place. So only good things can come from you not being perfect and putting yourself out there. The only big mistake that you can make is to not start. And then the last and final point to combat perfectionism and actually see progress is to set flexible and realistic goals. Because I get it, you probably have big goals for yourself. I do for me. But if I just think about my big goals 7 years from now, it feels way too much and unrealistic and just impossible to plan for. So what I have to do is to look at that big vision and create some milestones for myself. What is that first realistic goal that I can set that still aligns with that big vision, but that is doable in a short term? So for example, for you, let's say you want to run a marathon, but you're not a runner right now. If you think about running a marathon, that feels very scary. But if you think about running 1 mile, that feels doable. So that is a realistic goal. But the reason why it also has to be flexible is that maybe you'll try to run a mile and you'll try to run it in 7 minutes and you'll realize, whoa, this is way too hard. You need to be flexible because how could you have predicted that you would be able to do that? You have to be flexible to adjust your goals and maybe be like, okay, well, my goal would be to do a 10-minute mile. And then when you do that, then you can do a 9-minute mile, 8-minute, and then you start building from there. But you have to give yourself some grace to adjust. Initially, I wanted to post videos every other day on YouTube, and I realized that that was not realistic to my schedule. So what I do is not quit, not be like, oh, I can't do it, so I'm not going to do it at all. You have to eliminate that all or nothing mindset, and instead, you have to just adjust. So for me, it's 2 videos a week right now. Hopefully I can do more one day, but that will come with time. Right now, I just got to prove to myself that I can stick to that 2 videos a week. So here they were, the 9 actionable steps for you to develop a growth mindset, stop having a victim mentality, and combat perfectionism. And if you can actually apply those things, you will see that your life will change. And nothing changes if nothing changes. So if you just listen to my video, that is not enough for you to change your life. You actually need to put in the work. Don't overconsume content. You got everything that you need to know right now. You just need to go out there and apply it. I need you to put in the work because I need you to reach your potential. I have a vision where everyone that is on self-improvement actually applies what they learned and grows to the point where they start being leaders of their own life. And when you lead your own life, you become a leader by default to other people. You become a role model. And I want to teach you how to embrace that role and hopefully build your personal brand so you can also show up online and inspire others to do the same. I know you're meant to inspire and impact people in a positive way because you care about you reaching your potential. And when you start caring about you becoming the best you, it means that you care about how you show up to other people. And that means that you care about humanity. You care about where we're going. And if we don't take responsibility of that, bad people will become the people of influence, people in power. So if you want to see a change in our world, if you want to have the world a better place, it starts with you actually applying the things and growing and having the courage to be the best version of yourself and to not listen to your lizard brain and to step into the unknown, but embrace the fact that you stepping in and doing the work is perfectly enough. And that's going to take you places that you've always dreamt of being. On this note, I hope to see you in the part 3, which is all about dedication. How can you stay dedicated and committed to these mindsets? Because it's hard in this world to stay disciplined. And I'm going to give you, again, some process that's going to help you navigate that and be consistent. Thank you for leading your life so you can lead others. Thank you for your investment in growth. If you want exclusive content, sign up to my newsletter. And I will see you very soon in a new video. Mwah.